The Maze Breakout, Britain's biggest jail escape. Subscribe for more real crime stories. Like, share, and join the discussion below. The sirens wailed through the chill September air, slicing through the stillness of the Northern Irish countryside. At 3:25 p.m. on September 25, 1983, chaos erupted behind the concrete walls of the Maze prison, one of the most secure prisons in all of Europe. Guards shouted, alarms blared, and the radio crackled with frantic voices. "They've taken the van. They've taken the van." Within seconds, the unthinkable had happened. 38 inmates, all members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, IRA, had broken free. Dressed in stolen prison officer uniforms, armed with smuggled weapons, and moving with military precision, they stormed the gatehouse, overpowered guards, and hijacked a food delivery truck. The world outside had no idea yet, but the United Kingdom was about to face its biggest prison escape in history. As the truck roared through the main gate, gunfire rang out. Guards dove for cover, some injured, others too stunned to react. One officer was stabbed in the leg, another beaten unconscious. In a blur of confusion and adrenaline, the truck smashed through the final barrier and tore into open countryside. The escape was real and irreversible. But outside those walls, the plan began to crumble. Some prisoners stumbled off course. A few were quickly captured by pursuing police. Others vanished into the rural roads of County Antrim, disappearing into safe houses arranged by the IRA's underground network. The maze, supposedly escape-proof, had been breached in broad daylight. For hours, the scene inside the prison was pure panic. Blood on the floor, radios crackling, and prisoners who had stayed behind shouting through their cells. "They've done it," one inmate yelled. "They've actually done it." Helicopters hovered over the fields, checkpoints appeared on every major road, and the British Army was called in. The political storm hit within minutes. News of the breakout spread across Britain and Ireland like wildfire. The British government was humiliated, the public stunned. The maze had been the symbol of control during a violent, divided time in Northern Ireland, and now that symbol had shattered. As dusk fell, the hijacked truck was found abandoned near a quiet country road, its doors swinging open. Inside, only a few uniforms and blood-stained rags remained. The escapees were gone, scattered, hidden, and dangerous. Police dogs tracked footprints into the misty fields before losing the trail. The countryside was silent again, except for the hum of military vehicles combing the area. 38 men were out there somewhere. And the world wanted to know, how could anyone break out of Britain's most secure prison? The answer began months before that day, deep inside the maze, with a plan so detailed, even the guards never saw it coming. Months before that September day, inside the cold concrete walls of the Maze prison, the plan was quietly coming to life. The inmates, many serving life sentences for paramilitary crimes, had long realized that waiting for release was useless. The Maze wasn't just a prison, it was a symbol of political struggle. For the IRA members inside, escape wasn't just about freedom. It was about proving that even Britain's most secure facility could be beaten. Everything began in H Block 7, where inmates worked in the prison's food stores and workshops. Under the watchful eyes of the guards, they started gathering tiny bits of information: gate routines, officer schedules, the timing of delivery trucks. They studied it all like a military operation. And for months, they kept it quiet. No one outside the inner circle knew what was coming. The escape's mastermind, Bobby Story, was known for his discipline and strategic mind. Along with a small group of trusted IRA members, he orchestrated every detail, right down to how long it took for an officer to unlock a door and how often guards changed positions. The key to success, they knew, was timing and deception. Weapons were smuggled into the prison piece by piece. Some came hidden inside food deliveries, others through bribed workers. By summer, the inmates had collected 6 handguns, smuggled notes, and an exact plan of the gate layout. They also learned that a food delivery truck entered the main compound every Sunday afternoon. That truck, they decided, would be their ticket out. On the morning of September 25th, everything was set. The prisoners assigned to kitchen duty were calm, quiet, almost too polite. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but hidden beneath their uniforms were small, improvised weapons. At exactly 2:30 p.m., the first move was made. A guard entering H Block 7 was grabbed from behind and gagged. Within minutes, others followed. In less than 10 minutes, 35 guards were subdued. Some were tied up, others locked in cells. The prisoners moved fast, changing into stolen officer uniforms and radioing fake orders to confuse other blocks. One prisoner even impersonated a sergeant to gain control of the gatehouse. The tension was electric. Every move had to be perfect. One wrong step, and they'd all be caught or killed. The sound of keys, footsteps, and distant alarms filled the air. As the hijacked food truck rolled into the yard, 38 men climbed aboard. But fate doesn't always follow plans. As the truck approached the final gate, one guard broke free, shouting for help. The alarm blared, and chaos erupted. Prisoners fought back, guards struggled to stop them, and the truck slammed through the outer gate, its tires screeching into freedom. By the time backup arrived, the maze had been turned upside down. The most secure prison in Britain had just been breached by its own inmates. And as helicopters circled above, one chilling question echoed across every radio frequency in Northern Ireland. Where are they heading? The countryside of Northern Ireland had never seen panic like this. Within an hour of the breakout, every police checkpoint, military base, and border patrol in Ulster was on full alert. Sirens echoed across the hills as helicopters swept low, their spotlights slicing through the mist. 38 men, convicted terrorists, bomb-makers, and assassins, were on the run. And the British government was humiliated. News of the Great Maze escape spread like wildfire. Reporters rushed to the prison gates, where exhausted officers stood in disbelief. The escape-proof maze, once described as Britain's most secure facility, had been beaten from the inside. Families of prison staff gathered outside, demanding answers, while politicians in London called it a catastrophic failure of national security. Inside the prison, chaos lingered. Dozens of officers were injured, one fatally stabbed during the struggle, a grim reminder that the escape had crossed a deadly line. For the prisoners still locked inside, word spread like legend. The maze had fallen. Meanwhile, out in the countryside, the fugitives split into small groups, moving fast through fields, barns, and safe houses. The Irish Republican Army had prepared for this moment. Vehicles, clothes, and hiding spots had been arranged months in advance. For some, freedom lasted only hours. Police dogs and soldiers tracked them down near Lough Neagh and Lisburn. But others vanished completely, slipping across the Irish border into the Republic, where extradition was nearly impossible. For weeks, Northern Ireland was on edge. Roads were blocked, raids were constant, and locals were questioned at gunpoint. Yet, despite the massive manhunt, most of the escapees managed to avoid capture. In the end, 19 were caught within days, but 19 others remained free, their faces printed across newspapers and plastered on walls with the words, "Wanted." The political fallout was immediate. The British government faced international embarrassment, and the incident fueled IRA propaganda, painting the escapees as heroes of resistance rather than prisoners. A parliamentary inquiry revealed shocking lapses in security, missing keys, broken alarms, and guards who had warned of weak procedures long before the breakout. Years later, some of the fugitives were recaptured. Others lived quiet lives under false identities. A few even returned to politics after the Good Friday Agreement, walking free as part of the peace process that ended decades of bloodshed. But for those who had been there that day, the guards, the investigators, and the prisoners, the maze escape remained more than a headline. It was a moment when history cracked open, revealing how fragile control truly was. In the blue-gray silence of the Irish dawn, the maze stood still, its high walls scarred, its reputation shattered. The sirens had long faded, but the question that haunted Britain remained. If the most secure prison could fall so easily, what else could break next?